Hi, and welcome to Wednesday. Today's a little bit unusual. I am going to tell you cases that I've done for people that did not have wills. And well, you will see when you hear these, but it's so important that you should have a will. I get called to attend a lot of funerals, and the information that people ask when I go to a funeral is pretty much the same. Sometimes, is there any money hidden? Or what's the password for the computer? Or the combination for the safe? Is there a will? And if there is, where is it? What about insurance papers? Um, do you see the white light? Are you going to go into the white light? And if you are, would you say hi? And they give you a few names to say hi to. And oh, yeah, we love you. And come in my dreams so that you and I can talk. That's fairly normal. Of course, people whose funerals I go to that died tragically, a lot of times is do you know who killed you? That type of thing. But this is just regular people. And please carefully listen. Got a call from Sandy. Her husband had a heart attack, 50 years old. His heart attack was called the Widowmaker. She said, I need help. We don't have a will. Ken never wanted to talk about it. I don't know. Does he want buried? Does he want cremated? Open casket, closed casket, no funeral. I don't know what I should do. Sandy was calling from her home, and I could see Ken. He was pacing around looking pretty upset. Of course, he was dead. I went to the house. Sandy and Ken were married almost 25 years, 3 kids. This was their third house, and still no will. I asked him why. He said, I thought I had time. My parents are almost 80 and in good health. Who would have thought that I would have died when I was 50 years old? I figured I'd be around for a while. Next year always looked better, and for some reason, I thought I'd always have more time next year. Sandy was sad he was dead, but she was still really angry that he didn't, or they didn't have a will. Just then, his oldest son came in. Of course, really upset, crying, hugging his mom. Ken said, tell Junior now that he's married and Sue, his wife, just found out she's pregnant, get a will made. What is this, like closing the barn door after the horses are out? Sandy said out loud, where's the life insurance policy? I have to figure out what I'm going to do about this funeral. Guess what? No extra insurance policy, just the one from his job. They worked it out. He had to be cremated. It was the least expensive. As it turned out, wasn't exactly what he wanted. This next one, Tom called me. I had done work for them a couple of years prior. Annette, 38, died in a car accident today. He asked me to come over. He didn't know what to do. Tom and Annette never talked about a will. They always thought as soon as we have kids. Both sets of parents told them after we bought the house that we should, but we didn't. I asked, did you ever talk cremation, burial, showing, not showing? Nope, Tom said we never talked about it. Actually, since we've been married 5 years, we've only gone to one funeral together. Both our grandfathers died when we were very young, so I don't remember his funeral. Grandmas are alive. Annette said after we left the one funeral we went to together, she thought the video loop of the dead person and at holidays and vacations and at the grandkids' birthday parties, she thought it was really bizarre. So I knew she doesn't like that. And of course, Annette standing there shaking her head no, that she did not want that. Annette said, "Ask Tom why he asked you to come. Doesn't he want me to tell him what I want?" I posed the question to Tom, and he said, "No, no, don't ask her. No, no, ask her. We'll do whatever she wants." Annette answered all his questions. They decided together which cemetery. Annette had some personal things to say to Tom, and I repeated what she said. Tom said, "I need to say things to her." I told Tom to go into their bedroom, close the door, and he should say whatever he wanted to her out loud. She can't read your mind. Tom was in the bedroom for about 15 minutes. He said what he needed to do, and I didn't need to hear that. She said after the services at the cemetery, she would go to the light. She wanted to be able to talk to Tom eventually in a dream. Plus, she didn't want to be earthbound and make him sick or cause problems in the house. If she went to the light, she could stay as long as she wanted when she visited. I had to smile because Annette said she was going to visit after she crossed over, when she said she was going to visit after she crossed over and stay as long as she wanted to. Do I have to start over? Continue. We had a little blurb there. Mercury retrograde. We're still in it till the 3rd of June. So anyway, uh, so after Annette said she was going to stay for as long as she wanted after she visited because she was from the light and she wouldn't cause any problems. Tom said, "So she'll always be watching me?" No, no, I said, "She's going to visit, not stay 24/7. She told you she wants you to be happy. Wait a reasonable amount of time and remarry." And I told you that's what she said. On my way out, he said, "What if I remember other things I want to say?" I told him at the funeral home, when no one's around, talk out loud, and she will hear you. Ben called me. Here's another one, the last one. Ben called me on Christmas Eve. Grace died. They were married 55 years. It was a quick death. Sick one day, died the next. Seriously, we should all be that lucky. Until the autopsy and tests, they weren't exactly sure what she even died from. I asked if he called to tell me Grace died or if he wanted me to come to the funeral. He said, "You know Ed, the funeral director at," and he said the funeral home, "he said I should call you to ask so that you could ask her what she wants." I said, "You guys didn't have a will?" He said, "Nope." The day after Christmas, I met Ben and Ed at the funeral home, and of course Grace was there. As a side, there are a number of funeral directors that call me if there's this kind of problem. They also did not have a will. Ben said, "Gracie said we should, but we never got around to it. Just the beginning of this month, we finally signed papers for power over our medical. So we were headed in the right direction. We're just going to do it in the beginning of the new year." But she died. So Ed, the funeral director, went through the list in order. Turns out Grace wanted buried. She knew what clothes she wanted to have on, even what rosary she wanted to hold. She asked me if she should be buried with her glasses. Her call, I said. Some people like to have them in their casket with them. Some people like to have them on. Grace said to me, because Ben didn't want a will, I left notes in my desk in the kitchen. We have 4 children, 10 grandchildren, 3 great grandchildren. As you know, you've done work for some of them. I said, yep. I didn't want Ben to have problems with the kids, who gets what. We only have one son, so of course he would get most of his father's things. But the 3 girls could get a little selfish, and that's why I did this. And I said, exactly what is it that you did? She said, there is a blue recipe box on my desk, and there are notes inside of who gets what. Everything is written down. And that's the way I want it. She was very, very serious about that. Ben, I know Molly, she's the baby, has you wrapped around her finger. Do not give her the things I want the other 2 girls to get. Make sure you keep the blue recipe box away from the kids. You tell them what I wrote. They are not to look at those notes themselves. Ben said to me, maybe I should have you at the house when I go over the things in the recipe box with the kids. I said, no, 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 no. I'm really not good at breaking up family heated discussions. That's for you guys to work out. I said, Gracie seems to know exactly what she wanted and how, and this isn't a will, but at least it's where her stuff is supposed to go now that she's dead. The only other thing Grace was adamant about, no published obituary. And she said, tell Ed when he dies, no published obit for him either. Neither one would tell me why they didn't want a published obituary. But you know what? Some people take secrets to the grave. I asked Grace why. All she said, Ben knows why, and it's between us. So I guess I didn't need to know. So you see, even if you don't have a will, it makes life so difficult for everybody that's left. You never know when you're going to die. And seriously, as soon as you own property, you really should have a will. You know, if you think about it, with no will, the state, government, you could lose whatever you have if it isn't earmarked where it's supposed to go. All the questions that I asked the dead folks could have been answered if you had communicated and made out a will. And yes, it's happened to Ted and I. You know, we made a will after we bought the first house, and luckily the first house and the first baby came about the same time. But as, you know, over the years, you change wills. You know, you can make changes, but at least get it on paper. The examples were remembering spouses, but just as many adult children call, not knowing what to do or what their parents wanted. If you don't want to talk to your husband or your wife about what you want, talk to one of your kids that can understand. And if, you know, do what Gracie did. If your spouse doesn't want to actually make out a will, then write things down so that somebody has a record of it. You're a good parent. You know, keep it up till you die, and that means leaving a will for your children. Don't put them in a very awkward position. You know, with the computer now and the stores that you can go to for office supplies, there's even wills that you can download off of a computer. Go to the bank, have it notarized. At least you've got something. So think about it. I don't like these calls. I mean, who likes to go to funerals? But I know it helps people and it's okay. But I don't want to be the one to decide what you should wear on the day that you're showing at your funeral. That's your job, not mine. Okay, that is it for today. Have a great week, and we'll do it next month. Thanks. Bye bye.